I sent you that link so you can see the chats. All right, hello everybody. We are live. You should be seeing this hopefully in a second here, and we are seeing you. And yeah, there we go. We're coming in. All right, everybody. Hi. I'm seeing some people arriving in the chat here. Imagine there'll be lots of people coming and going, trying to figure this out our very first time. I have one guest with me, which you guys have asked for a lot. And I don't know if they know your real name or not.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with Moneybag 73.
Okay, so I'm just going to call him Moneybag 73. You guys know his channel well.
I originally had it that way because I had financial videos for years, and so I just kept it, with a username.
So there are two of us on tonight. There was supposed to be two more panel guests that kind of flaked out and didn't get back to me in time. So we will be starting up in a second here. Moneybags, I forgot to tell you that there'll be like a delay on us. You're probably seeing that now.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
But just like kind of ignore it and listen. We're getting all kinds of people. Hi, everybody. Wow, lots of love here. You see, everybody's excited you're in here. We're going to start off because Moneybags is not feeling spectacular. We're just going to roll, and if the other guests show up, they show up. If not, we'll just start talking, and this will just become what it is. There's no set time. We'll try to answer questions. But remember, kind of the point of my channel is I don't want to scare the heck out of everybody. So I'm trying to present more of the positive things about the Mandela Effect. I could get on here for, I'm sure we could go some very dark places about this. And maybe we'll discuss a little bit, but I don't want to focus on bad things because I think it brings bad things into your world. So I don't want to put too much energy into that. Instead, we're going to kind of focus on the positive stuff. Does that sound good with you, Money?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page on that.
I've been staying positive pretty much the whole time since March when this all hit me.
Yeah, for you guys that don't know Moneybags, he was I want you to tell your story about your channel a little bit. Why don't we start there about what your channel is, what your focus on that channel is, and how all that happened.
Well, I studied the financial world. I read books on the coming housing collapse back in 2003, 2004, which ultimately happened, like the books I was reading had said it would. And I just thought it was important to get on YouTube. It wasn't monetized at that time. I just started making videos trying to teach people about gold and silver and the Federal Reserve. And, I underestimated the Fed. They've been able to keep this charade going. So, 20 trillion in debt and $4 trillion balance sheet on the Fed now. I don't want to get into the whole financial thing, but that's what it was. So I was trying to inform people about real money and gold and silver and all that. So I spent 6 years doing that. I mean, I have 600 videos that are still up on the channel. Now, a lot of the old channels talking about silver and stuff, you don't find their videos any longer. They've all been taken down. Silver shot way up in 2011. And there was a whole huge community of people and videos.
Oh, I was a silver guy big time. I bought tons of silver. Matter of fact, I even have some sitting on my desk right now. But yep, so I still love silver, But I understand it's kind of, I guess you kind of had more of the libertarian side in you. I mean, especially if you're talking about ending the Fed and everything else. And I can relate because I've been a liberty activist for 20 years in the trenches, and I've kind of gone through the ringer on that. I get what you're saying. And I just was amazed that they were able to manipulate silver like they did. Like I kept thinking, oh man, it's going to skyrocket any day. And it's like the cheapest it's ever been for 5 years. I don't understand.
It's so involved. And I believe in the fact that it's manipulated, but it's hard to prove. And It's just another conspiracy theory to a lot of people, so they automatically think it's crazy and everything like that.
How did you get
So,
into all that world? Because you obviously wanted to do something when you found out about the Fed. You want to do something positive and good and be like, hey, everybody, this isn't real money we have. It's just fake paper.
yeah, I mean, I was trying to inform people that the Federal Reserve is private. Most people don't know that it's private. They think it's part of the U.S. government, and it's a private entity.
Yeah.
And you know, I've had conversations with people, and they try and tell me, "Oh, well, that's just that's conspiratorial." So it's hard to. I learned it's hard to try and inform people because most people don't care. You know, they just want to watch Dancing with the Stars or, uh, you know, the sports game and all that. They don't care about the Federal Reserve. So it's kind of just banging my head against a wall for all those years.
And I kind of have a theory about that later on, which I think we're going to get into when we start diving into the Mandela Effect here. Uh, but I think we're gonna have some fun tonight. The chat's moving so fast I can barely read it all and talk to you, which is great. I'm glad to see such a lively community.
Yeah.
So tell me how your channel changed. Okay, so you were a money guy, you were trying to do some good, and what happened?
One day, I forget where we were. My son started asking me a bunch of questions. Uh, Dad, when did Mother Teresa become a saint? And I thought that it had already happened years ago. Well, it was about to happen. And then he says, you know, how do you spell Looney Tunes? I spelled it wrong, spelled it Toons. And then there were some other, like 5, 6 questions. I got everything wrong. And so I'm like, how are you doing this to me? And so then I went and he says, oh, well, it's called the Mandela Effect. It's like, you know, parallel universes crossing over and all this, whatever his explanation was. So then I went and looked it up. And he had Shane Dawson, who's got 8 million subs on YouTube. He was one of the first ones the biggest channel to come out with videos on the Mandela Effect. And so my son had saw one of his videos. And so
I
I
feel dumb
jumped.
because I don't know who most of the other people are. I don't know who Shane Dawson is, but are you telling me how old's your son?
My son's 14.
14. Okay, so he knew about it before you and started trying to stump you with questions.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
And he did. He totally stumped me. Everything he was asking me. And the Bernstein, I remembered as Bernstein. And so then I just jumped in. I started researching it at the time, and then I made my first video, which has like 530,000 views now. I made that in March. And
That's the Red Moon one?
no, that's another, that was from like a year and a half ago.
Oh,
My
okay. What?
first Mandela Effect video, which was late March of last year, has over 500,000 views. And I did that. Some people joke about the fact that, well, if you speed it up 1.5 times, it's easier to listen to. I had stayed up all night long, mind you. 0 hours of sleep when I made that video that has over 500,000 views. Because
How
I
long did?
was just beside myself. Like it was so mind blowing. I prepared the video and I delivered it because I was just blown away by the whole thing.
How long did it take you to go from finding out about it to making videos?
I think it was within a week. The first couple days I was like on the couch, just looking around, going, what's happening to my reality type thing? How can this be happening? Kind of freaking out. It's kind of scary when you first realize that you notice things don't match your memories. And then it just keeps building. Like you said, maybe after 5 or 10 things, I heard you say in a video, you know, maybe I misremember those things. But when it gets into the 1, 2, 300 things, it gets to a point where you just can't say, I'm misremembering all this stuff. It's ridiculous. And so I think it was about a week after I found out about it, I did that first video.
And since then, you were, you know, the Mandela Effect to me didn't really gain speed until September, October. So you were months ahead of the ball on this. Now, I understand it's been going on for a few years and there were some blips here and there, but I don't think anyone really got traction on it until something happened in September, October to just blow this thing up. And maybe you could give me your thoughts on that.
Well, September, let's see. Well, my Blood Moon video, the final blood moon was September 2015. That's when it really picked up on the internet. And I thought that that was interesting. If you look at Google Trends, you'll see that it picks up right in the final blood moon. So I think all this is connected. I think the Bible's connected. I think all religions are connected with what's happening, and all the ancient prophecies and all the ancient cultures. I think everything's connected. I just feel that some people that are in a religion, if you just go with that religion and you don't want to look at any other information, then the tunnel vision that's created by the religion will not allow you to try and see the thread that's weaving through everything. That's, my opinion on that whole thing.
I think you're right, because you can pretty much look at any ancient religion and they all have kind of the same sort of predictions about something like this happening. It's just buried by a lot of metaphors, and it's kind of hard. But particularly the Bible seems, there's a lot of people throwing some Bible verses around that make a lot of sense now, and especially the Hindu sculpt, the Bhagavad Gita has a lot of stuff too that's, pretty relevant. So it's not like they didn't know this stuff, but I think it was purposely kind of buried and masked over the years so we couldn't understand it. It was sacred knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's all coming out now. The veil's thinning, and all that information's coming forward. Only the mystery schools, the people in the mystery schools knew that information thousands of years ago. And so now, online, it's amazing the information that people just have put up. There's so much information there if you want to go look it up. But I was all into the 2012 thing, and I feel this is connected with that. I did videos on that. You have, the Incas talk about this time as knowing yourself again, getting to know yourself again. And the Tibetan have the Kala chakra teachings, I believe. You got the Kali Yuga, the Yuga cycles. It was mind-blowing, the 2012 information where all this stuff was coming together. The Aztecs, even the Phoenix cycle in Egypt talks about 2012. There was a culmination of all these different ancient cultures talking about 2012. And so when the 21st of 2012 happened, a lot of people said, well, nothing happened. Well, I don't think that's true. Obviously, I think something happened, and it's a process. It's not something that just, happened on one day. It's this for thousands of years. They talked about this time, and here we are. We're talking about it. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I'm seeing how much tolerance religions are starting to have with each other. Like, I'm seeing these discussions and threads where Christians are agreeing with non-Christians all of a sudden on some stuff, and I haven't seen any like Hindus or Buddhists. Well, there's a lot of Buddhists that come in and mention, but it's funny how a lot of stuff is kind of meshing together, and we're all agreeing on certain things. We're like, yeah, we might be from different worlds, but this is a common thing. Before we dive in too deep, though, I wanted to ask you a little more about. I was trying to get some other YouTube guests. By the way, if you guys are just arriving, there was supposed to be 2 more guests that just kind of flaked out and didn't show up, I guess, or something happened. So try to get them on another time. But what happened to your channel after you embraced the Mandela Effect?
Okay, so I started turning away a lot of people who didn't care about the Mandela Effect, who weren't experiencing the phenomenon. So over the course of like March till now, I think that I've gained 15. I had 10,000 subs March of 2016. It took 6 years to get 10,000 subscribers. I've taken that to 19 and change, whatever. So I'm getting pushing 20,000 now. But what happened was I got 15,000 people over the last 10 months, and I lost about 4,000 or 5,000.
So did you actually get like hostile messages from people that were fans before that left, or did they just disappear?
Yeah. Within months, I had comments saying, "I'm out of here. I don't know what you're doing." This is, I guess I just blew the minds of a lot of people by what I was doing with my channel. But I couldn't help it. I didn't want it. It was a blessing in disguise for me to have this happen as far as YouTube and my channel, because I was tired of the negativity. It was all negative. I had a bunch of negative people commenting, and it was just lots of negativity. Now, the people that subscribe to me now, I'm excited to put out a video and chat with them in the comment section and talk to them. A lot of positive great type of people. It's just a whole different type of people I deal with now. And it, you know, it's uplifting, and thank you everyone who subscribes to the channel and comments, because I know a lot of people watch, they don't always comment, but thanks to the people who comment, because, you know, I was able to create a forum. That's another thing that I was happy about with this Mandela Effect, because it was hitting, I think my videos even triggered some people to where, you know, I don't know, I've had weird experiences where I was talking with my aunt and I'm asking her about movies. She's a big movie buff. And I said, well, you know, Luke, I am your father, or build it and they will come. And she's like, I think she had memories of they and he both triggering back and forth. She's like, you're hurting my brain. She like walked away from me because it was like she was fighting inside, having dual memories. And so
I think you have to have patience with people, man, because everybody handles stress and crisis different. And I think when they first come in the Mandela Effect, I was more curious, but it really didn't take a whole lot to convince me. You know, like after 20 examples or so, I was like, okay, this is real. Where some people, you can throw, you know, 200 examples and they're still going to explain it away because their logical mind just won't allow them to accept it. This is all, like I keep saying in my videos, this is more a thing of faith more than logic. Now, there are a lot of proof. Like, if you guys don't know Moneybags, if you're like from my channel and you're watching this, Moneybags, the reason his channel's really good is because you seem to be the first with any sort of Mandela new stuff that I don't know. So if you're kind of the person that still needs more evidence, if you still like to have stuff to talk about and share with your friends, I mean, you must have almost 100 videos on different.
Yeah, I have about 110.
110, yeah. I remember
on the Mandela Effect.
Just on that. So if you guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to his channel. That's where you're going to get the newest stuff as far as, I mean, that's how I hear about it, honestly. But I have to ask you this, and I have to ask the people in chat this, how much evidence do you need? I mean, how much more do you need before you're like, okay, this is happening? And I'm curious what people say about that. Like, what's the threshold when people finally cross over? Do you remember your threshold? When did you finally accept it as real?
It was Australia on the map.
That was the big one.
I've done a video on what was your smoking gun moment. And that happened to be, I think a lot of people said Australia on the map. Because I remember growing up, Australia was way down south, 1,000 miles from anything else except New Zealand. And I remember New Zealand on the north east side in the Ring of Fire. I remember it higher up in the Ring of Fire. But anyway, forget New Zealand. Just Australia. I remember wondering how the Aborigines got there. I mean, now I look at it, it's like, oh, they just got on whatever, just some little boats and just, it's like right there. They just did some island hopping and they're there. I remember thinking, how'd they cross this vast ocean to get to Australia 50,000 years ago or whenever the Aborigines went there? But
I think that's what cemented it for me too, was the world map. Because, you know, I saw the examples, but people can be, well, logos change and things explained different. But man, the map really, I was like, this just doesn't look right. And now, you know, I don't even know what's going on at the North Pole. It's there, is it now, or is it gone, or what the heck? I feel like it's flip-flopping. I don't even know. Like, to me, it's got the point where these effects are laughable at this point, because you're like, this reality is not real. What else are they just going to throw in there? I mean, I'm laughing if the North Pole just disappears one day and comes back.
Yeah, there's. From once I noticed the map changes, I haven't seen a North Pole.
Yeah, don't you remember, like, for the last 30 years, people have been
on either side of the planet.
Yeah, people have been doing documentaries about, you know, all the polar bears on the North Pole, and all the ice is going to melt and drown the you know, the coast. And what happened to all that stuff? Where is it? What?
It all melted, I guess. But
yeah, I mean,
if it all melted because of global warming, was there a time? I haven't really looked. Was there a time 100 years ago or 200 years ago where there was a cap? I don't know. If global warming was supposed to melt it, right? Well, what was there one to begin with in this? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where the changes happen so much that I question my own sanity sometimes, because I'm like, how does Does the North Pole disappear, come back, disappear? I don't even know anymore what's going on at the North Pole. So that's kind of a big one for me. It's hard to, there seems to be so much residual about it though. You know, you still find maps out there with it, and I just don't even know about that one. That one
South
confuses me.
America is big for me because I've gone to Peru a few times. My wife's from Peru. And I remember looking at the GPS in the plane flying back, and I remember the angle that we flew up to California. And now it's like, you know, you're flying like almost, I don't know, it's like a 45-degree angle where before it was like half of that. It was kind of straight up. Not straight up, but I mean, I don't know, that is weird for me. And then I have, you can see the picture, my great-grandfather right there on the wall, but they came over in 1895 from Italy. So growing up, I watched, I got the two great-grandparents over there on the wall from Italy.
See 'em? Yeah.
And growing up, I looked at Italy a lot on the map. And it looked like a boot was about to kick a ball. Well, now I look at it, the ball's sitting on the toes. There's no separation. Italy looks all weird to me. And I looked at that a lot on a map. My mom lived in Japan. So I looked at Japan a lot on a map when I was a kid. Her father was in the Navy. Japan looks like it's moved to me. Okay, see, that's the other thing. I said moved. Nothing's moved. That's where everyone gets so confused. Nothing's moved. Nothing's changed. Like you did the anatomy. The way our anatomy is the way it's always been here. It's just our memory is of something else. That's the whole thing that's so confusing to people. I say that, you know, well, no, the continents didn't shift. Well, no, they didn't shift. Where they've been where they are, more or less, you know, for hundreds of thousands of years. But it's all those memories of it being different. That's the whole mind-blowing thing with this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's...
My hands are going nuts.
We're going to get into this.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to keep you alive. We're going to get into this a little deeper. The people are asking questions in the chat room to ask me to, talk about certain things. I'm going to get through to your questions. Just be a little patient with me because I want to finish a couple more topics with money bags, and then we'll dive in to what you guys want. Let's talk about this. What's the most positive thing that's happened to you since you woke up to the ME?
Well, it was fairly positive for a while. It hasn't gone negative, but it's kind of getting overwhelming. I almost need to take a break from it. I haven't taken a break. There are other guys making videos. There was about 4 of us that were almost every other day putting out a video back in April, May, June. Life Matrix comes to mind, and a few other channels that were putting out a lot of videos. They're not putting out videos anymore. I'm one of the only ones that have stuck around. Now, there's some other channels that came on maybe over the summer, and they're still putting out videos. But do
you think they burned out or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of burnt out on the whole thing. I mean, I'll still do it. I just don't really know what to do. I have 94 voting videos. Yeah. And that, to me, is just documenting my memories. And people like them. People like to hear what's changed, especially people who just found out about all this last month. They like to see what people are saying, but so I don't know where this is going to lead. I have to figure that out. I'll talk to the people that are experiencing this with me, and I'll see what they want, because I like making videos. You know, I want to build my channel, but so I'm not sure.
It's tough because my channel was never about the Mandela effect, and you guys listening to that, I've kind of begrudgingly made videos about it because it's so important, and it kind of obsessed Kate and I's life for a while, where that's all we talked about, that's all we did, and we kind of got through that shock period together. But after that, we're kind of in that acceptance phase where we know what happened. It'd be nice to know why, what's going on, what's next, and that's kind of where our focus is now. But I didn't want to make just a million other Mandela Effect videos out there because there's already people doing a great job of that. Why compete with that? And it's just not where I'm at. But now, because I've come out and I've taken already a lot of abuse professionally for coming out. I doubt it's probably kind of destroyed my professional career, I would think. Only people are going to come to me are fellow Mandela people, which are all over the world, probably. but it was so important. I felt like we had to talk about it. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life, and how could I not talk about this?
Same here. That's how I feel about it.
But the cost was high. So if you're thinking about doing a channel, I don't know if you guys realize I pretty much bounce trolls and negative comments out, but they're in there for a bit before I get to them. There are a lot of personal attacks, a lot of nasty stuff, and as much as I want to stay positive and keep that, it does bother you, to be personally attacked.
Oh yeah, I've had like 7 different people make videos about me, about being Looney Tunes, and just I couldn't imagine it when I first started seeing these videos pop up. But yeah, there's like 7 different video makers that made light of me and me talking about this openly.
And James
what can
Cox.
You do? It's just unfortunately they were little channels. Maybe if they were big channels, it would have brought more attention to what was going on.
And that's kind of the hardest part about this, is just because there's no going back at this point. I've pulled the trigger and I'm with you guys, but at this point I hope the community keeps me alive, because it's jumping into the deep end, but I have to talk about it because it's real. All this stuff's happening, and thank God there's some support from you guys, because this would stink otherwise. I'll tell you what.
Well, all this confabulation stuff, I laugh at these confabulationists. I call them confabulationists now. I laugh at them because confabulation, okay, let's say that we're doing this hangout here, and I say, Taryn, do you remember when the White House was red? I have a clear memory of the White House being red. Do you remember that? I imagine you would say no.
No, I don't remember that.
I imagine everybody would say no. Now, if I was having those kind of thoughts, it would be different. But but it's not. I'm having thoughts that are shared by thousands of people. So the fact that we all share the same false memory, I don't understand why people can stick with that cognitive illusion and confabulation stuff. How do we all confabulate the same false mistakes, memories?
We need to just own the word and ruin it. Like, how you see this in politics, where some new word will come out and a group will just own it and just abuse it to death, to where people are sick of hearing about it. And I think we need to do that to confabulation, because it's insulting to me, really. Again, it depends on how it's being said. If someone's truly like trying to understand it themselves and rationalize it away, okay, confabulation makes sense. But when you're just being a jerk about it, man, I'm so tired of hearing it.
Yeah, there was one guy who made a series of videos, like 30 videos, claiming to debunk everything. I mean, we have these guys making videos say, you just go look it up. Read some books. Just go look it up. You can debunk this stuff. Obviously, you don't understand there's so much confusion. That's what I was muddling through back in April, May, June, was all the confusion. People were like, what do you mean this changed? Go look at it. It's the way it's always been. Well, you're right, it is, but it doesn't match my memory and thousands of other people's memory. So there's so much confusion. I'm glad I'm beyond I'm beyond all that. There's still new people coming in that are confused as heck with the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's going to have to happen. I mean, I think we got to keep a lifeline and realize that I think it's our responsibility as a community to help the new people coming in and get them over that period of shock, and then try to point them a positive direction. Because, yeah, sure, it could be something seriously evil, that, CERN's doing something horrible and rip a hole in space-time, or it could be the devil or revelations or whatever your flavor of something bad. It's easy to go that direction. But I don't want to live there. That's a terrifying place and a scary place to live, and it just builds energy to that. I want to find a positive way.
Right. I've been saying all along, you take subatomic particles and you slam them together at the speed of light in a 17-mile tunnel underground. Who knows what's going to happen? Okay, I've never discredited that CERN could have something to do with this. I've been on another path. That's why I've been making videos. I have one video, a culmination of me talking about a common shift in human consciousness. Since 2011, I've been talking about there's we're going to have a shift in human consciousness coming. I've been talking about it for six years, and here we are. So that's another reason I was so mind blown, and I don't even know why I was talking about it so much. It was that whole 2012 thing I was all into, and trying to figure out what's going on. I've always been trying to figure out what's going on ever since 9/11. I've been trying to figure out what the heck's really going on. That was the beginning of my awakening.
It's all believable. That's the hard part, is all these theories sound good. And, you know, all of them have some merit of truth, and there's probably a mix of these things happening together. Who knows? I just don't know how to handle it. Let's talk about this. This is one part that really kind of is weird for me. A lot of these changes are so small. Like, I'm going to just say this out there. If somehow our mass reality can be hacked, that say we're in some sort of matrix or computer program, and if that's the case, then yeah, you could hack it and move the world, the lands around and all this stuff. But why change these little things? Why are we just screwing with movie lines and logos and stuff that doesn't seem to, it's like small enough that it wouldn't send a huge ripple through space-time or something, you know? It's almost to me like a bunch of smart, geeky guys figured out how to hack consciousness and are joking around, switching movie lines and giggling about it. You know, it's like a bunch of trolls got.
I've had that thought, but they've made everything worse. Have you noticed that?
Do you think this is worse or better?
No, things don't sound right. They change them. There's been a lot of examples over time, and I've talked about this with people on the channel. The changes they make, like life was like a box of chocolates. Does that really make any sense? It was? No, it is. That's you know, life is like a box of chocolates. When you say it was, to me that just sounds worse. It doesn't make as much sense.
But why these small things that don't mean anything? Like, why not make MLK white? You want someone's attention? Change something major. You know, bring Hitler back. Whatever. It's like, why are you trying to get my attention with these little things?
Well, I think that what's happening is only what we can handle. Now, if we had some huge major changes, people would just be beside themselves, wouldn't be able to function. So I think that's my opinion. Maybe it's only what we can handle that we're seeing, and those of us who don't see anything probably couldn't handle your reality changing at all.
Okay. So let's go a little further into this, because most people, I don't really usually talk about what my opinion is and what's happening, and yours. So you've been in this a while and you have a lot of credibility built up. What's your best bet of what's going on? Why is it happening?
I don't have the why. I mean, I think it's learning who we really are. I think this was just going to happen no matter what. Know thyself is an ancient phrase, and I just think this is part of that. We're finding out who we are. Like the Incas said, you know, they talked about this time as meeting ourselves again. So, you know, we're finding out who we are. I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't say why we're all here alive, and you know, I don't have all the answers, but I don't really think it's a nefarious, but it could be. It could be. What's going on could be, you know, have a nefarious origin. I don't know. But I did want to ask you if you had a chance to look at Dolores Cannon.
I did. And okay, for you guys that are listening and don't know who Dolores Cannon is, I didn't know her at all until Moneybags brought her to my attention the other day. And I watched a few of her videos, and what she said rung real true to a lot of the visions I got. I have figured out some of these pieces completely on my own, in a sense, and then it was like having her in my mind. I was like, oh my God, that's the piece I'm missing, and that's the piece I'm missing. So I had parts of it, and I really think it resonates with me. It's a nice positive message. There's probably obviously more going on that she didn't go through, but why don't we talk about that? For you guys that don't know who Dolores Cannon is, help me out. Oh, did we lose you?
No, I'm here. I was just reading the comments.
Oh, yeah, the comments, a
Yeah,
lot of
Dolores
good.
Cannon, 100%
Did she
explains
pass
it.
away?
Yeah,
Okay, so the old.
2014, I believe.
All right, I was watching a video that said it was 2015, but I guess it was just posted then. She must have been
14 or 15, yeah, a couple
passed
years ago.
away. She has a lot of the pieces. I mean, depending on how deep we want to dive in here, I'll explain some of what I think's going on, but it's not a quick conversation. So why don't you start with what Dolores said?
Well, she talks about the new Earth and how there's a splitting, which would kind of make sense with what we're seeing, where you're having the Earth splitting into two. And this kind of goes along with all those ancient cultures that talked about a coming golden age. And she says we're trying to match our vibrations to the planet. And we're raising our vibrations, and we'll either go with the new Earth or we'll stay here with all the negativity that we created. So that, I mean, if you think to yourself, all right, I'm going to raise my vibrations and go to the new Earth. Well, where does my wife go? Where do my kids go? I mean, that's kind of a weird, I don't know. I'd like my family to come with me, obviously, but so it's still a weird thing. I mean, I like listening to her. If anyone who hasn't listened to Dolores Cannon, you need to give her a chance, because she did, what's it called? Regression therapy? Is that what it is?
I think some sort of deeper hypnosis that I don't really
Yeah,
understand.
Can't think of the word. Some deep level that a lot of hypnotists don't go to.
Right. She said it was like the subconscious, but that wasn't a good name for it. That
Yeah,
it was something even deeper, that you're talking to the direct source.
right. So then she said what would happen was she'd have conversations, and then she'd go to another continent, and she'd put someone under, and the conversation would continue through a different person who doesn't know the other person, and this went on for 30 years. So you can see how imagine how blown she was by having these different conversations with different people and continuing a conversation with entities, or I don't know.
It's crazy to me that that's how it's done, but I mean, that's amazing. Just that is amazing, that you're talking directly to consciousness through hundreds of different people. That they would just stop in the middle of their hypnosis sessions and give her a message that fills another piece of a message that she had done the night before. You know, to me, that's like, whoa.
Yeah, it seems crazy and impossible, but I don't know. I don't know if what she says is right, but I've looked at a lot of information since all this Mandela Effect stuff happened, and the work of Dolores Cannon has rang true for me more than anything else.
She filled a lot of gaps in for me, and I like a lot what she had to say. Again, this is such a deep topic. I don't know if we want to do this tonight, because
Yeah,
I would be sitting here explaining this for
no, I'm not
45
the
minutes.
expert on her
You know?
work. I mean,
No,
I
no,
just
no. I'm not either.
recommend that
But I am.
anyone would definitely check out her work if you're experiencing the Mandela Effect. You need to check out Dolores Cannon's work, even though she has maybe 100 videos online or more.
I don't know, but I
She has a
watched the
lot of
most
videos.
recent before she died, and they
I've
were
watched
speaking to me directly.
I've watched probably about 30 of her videos, because I've been looking for answers for 10 months now. And so I've spent a lot of time listening to her work. And so I would recommend anyone else do that who's trying to find. I mean, as far as other recommendations, I don't know where I would send anybody. Have
Everything
you
else
thought
is
of where to send someone to start
no,
looking
not
into this?
really. I mean, I'm tempted to make my own video on my own experience. Like, I had a very strong spiritual experience that gave me a great deal of information, but I've always honestly been too scared to talk about it, because I always thought people would think I was nuts to come out on this on my channel. And just the fact that I've kind of already fell into the deep end of the water talking about the Mandela effect, maybe I get enough courage to talk about this, because it's when you start telling people you had a spiritual experience, they just check out. So it's hard for me to. I want to talk about it, but I'm kind of I think it's like the final thing. If I cross over, they'll tell me I've jumped.
Now, I have another question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information on the 5D moving from the third dimension past the fourth, which is usually time, which doesn't exist, but you know, we kind of create it, and then moving into the fifth dimension. Have you seen, there's lots of videos online about that. Have you looked at any of that?
Not really. I mean, I've started to through Dolores. She talked about it some, but I have not watched a bunch. The problem I have, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, is I'm kind of a video snob. That a lot of these videos are so poorly done that I just can't watch them. They're too that's the problem. Is I know their intentions are in the right place, but some of the videos are just so bad quality. They really need to pick their game up a little, because you know, when you want to sit and watch a video for an hour and a half, you got to at least be able to hear the person, or you know, decent sound, or so, you know, just like basics. So I have not watched many, because I'm hoping that this movement develops some people that start putting out a little higher quality stuff, just so it can reach more people. Because I don't know, what's your opinion? Do you feel like this has peaked out and it's going to start slowing down, that people are tired of hearing about this, or do you think it's speeding up?
I follow Google Trends, which peaked out a few months ago and has kind of come back down a little bit, but has turned the corner again. I don't think it's going away. I think people are going to continue to wake up as we move forward. I could be wrong. That's just what I'm seeing from what I'm looking at. I think this is going to continue to grow.
Do you think it's a certain amount of people that are going to get it and the rest are just going to be left behind, or do you think everybody's going to wake up?
I think everyone has the potential to wake up, but that's why I go along with what Dolores is saying, where those who wake up, you know, they'll be at a higher vibration, and I can't imagine they just disappear.
Well, my understanding is, all right, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, Dolores Cannon says that Earth is a spiritual being. Everything around here is alive. Everything has a spirit. We're all made of the same stuff. It's a fake reality here anyway. That the Earth is actually getting older. It's evolving just like people grow, just like everything alive grows. And as it grows, it will increase its vibration to move up. As that happens, the Earth will actually split in two and go into two different dimensions. Right now, we're in the third dimension. There's a lot of bad and evil stuff, and it's low vibrations. As the Earth splits up and goes to another dimension, it should evolve into a higher place where those evil thoughts just can't exist at those high vibrations. And what's happening for the last few years is the Earths are overlapping. You got to imagine these are all in different dimensions. So as soon as something starts speeding up into high vibrations, it's still there. It's just on top of each other in a different dimension. At this weird moment in time, you can bounce back and forth between the dimensions. And as that's happening, this is why some people are talking about the Mandela Effect with it, because they're bouncing back and forth, seeing stuff from old Earth and new Earth as it's evolving. I think both are here, and the way Dolores explains it is you have to get your karma straight, and you have to move towards positive things if you want to go with the new high vibration Earth. If you get hung up on the same drama and the old drama of life, you're going to get tugged back down, and you're going to stay with the old Earth in the third dimension, and you're going to keep living with all this crap in the karmic wheel, and you'll have to work your way out through karma. So you'd be here for another tons of lifetimes, or whatever your goal is. Or you can hop the boat out now and go to the higher dimensions. And it's interesting because even, you know, Christians talk about the rapture kind of, you know, or a purgatory kind of in the middle, what we're in right now. I think it's interesting. So the way to get to the higher place is just to keep pushing positive and trying to raise your energy. Did I miss anything there, Evan?
No, I agree with your synopsis of you know, basically what she says. I mean, that's pretty much
right. And now I'm not sure where I come down on that. I like to think that's real. You know, I'm not sitting here because like I said, we have a lot of Christian listeners. I'm not trying to diss them, or you know, they have their own version that fits into this. and I don't know the truth. I'm just going with what feels right. I mean, none of us really know. You got to go with what feels inside you.
Yeah, I mean, throughout all this, I've had tons of people tell me that Jesus is the only way. I shouldn't be looking at anything else. And I was talking about that earlier, where I don't, I think I read the Bible when I was 33 from cover to cover book. It took me 13 months to read it.
And
I just think there's more, because what's in there was taken from other sources. But there's and that's another thing, the whole God's word can't change thing. The lion and the lamb, the wolf and the lamb. I've done videos on the Bible. There's there's these goat men and these sea monsters and unicorns. I was going to do a video on that. There's all these mythical creatures in there too, and I don't remember mythical creatures in the Bible. That's another thing.
yeah, I saw Jacob Israel's video about how the Bible now mentions aliens and couches and bottles and banks, and it has the word stuff, which is my favorite.
Stuff.
Like, leave your stuff on the couch. Like, you have this beautiful old English, and the word stuff is in there. Oh my goodness.
One other thing I wanted to make sure to ask you was about synchronicities. It really started ramping up when this all started hitting me. As far as, like you're driving down the freeway, and usually it has to do with music, because I usually have the radio on. So in the song, it'll say like a plastic bag blowing in the wind, and guess what's going right in front of the car at that moment? That stuff happens to me all the time. Synchronicities have been off the hook since all this happened. I wake up, and if the radio's on, one time I woke up, the radio's on, and it was, who's that knocking at my door? And right then, the door, there's someone knocking at the door. Just, it's funny, it happens so often now. I mean, this has been happening to me for a long time. Talking to my mom about this, I mean, synchronicities. She's had them as well. And someone I can talk to about the Mandela Effect. She doesn't really understand how reality can change, but she remembers Sally Fields, Donna Summers, Christopher Reeves.
So much.
She remembers all these things. So she shares a lot of memories with me, so I can talk to my mom. I wanted to ask you, can you talk to anyone besides your girlfriend, you said? Because I have my mom, my son.
I've tried to, my family doesn't really like me talking about them on the channel much. So I have to say, I did talk to my dad, and he was open into listening, and he remembered some things, but I can't tell you if he believes it or not. My friends are always jokesters, so even if they believe me, they're never going to tell me they believe me. They're going to joke and harass me, and that's just a relationship we have, and they're cool. They're cool cats, so I put up with that. Where I'm getting a lot of support is the comments on these videos. I'm getting a lot, and that's been nice. There's a few souls that I know from my life and everyday life that have supported me, but not many. Like I said, I feel like I just dropped a bomb on my credibility and social life by talking about this stuff, because it's like, I'm that. It would almost be like if you came out and you were that 9/11 guy, that told all your friends about 9/11, told about them, and just drove everyone crazy about 9/11. Even if it was true or whatever, they don't want to hear it. They just, it's like you're like a plague on society. But the cool part is thank God for this community, because they've been so supportive. I don't know what I would have done if I had. I mean, you should see some of the nasty stuff. Like, I did that video on skeletal changes in the body, and just because I had so many people ask me, your doctor do a change video, and man, I've taken a lot of heat for that professionally, honestly. I mean, people just crush me on that.
I figured you knew.
There's nothing I can do about it.
Right, but you had to have known. You were opening yourself up to that.
Yeah, I guess I did. I mean, it's just a matter of, you have to say, are you willing to sacrifice your old life to move on to a new one? And I think I'm in that transformation right now, where my old friends will probably think I'm full of BS, unfortunately. But this is real to me, and I just don't talk with them about it. Is how I handle it. I unless they bring it up. But here I can at least talk freely.
Yeah, no, this community of people, all the comments on all my videos helped get me through. And I know my videos have helped get numerous people through. I know that because I've had countless people tell me how important my comment section of my videos has been in their life this past year. And I feel honored to be able to provide that place for people to talk. That's been one of the most important things.
Yeah, I mean, what would you? I think I just have a endless stream of people saying, "Thank you, I'm not crazy," and that's really rewarding. It feels good in my life, and it makes me want to do more of this. It's just I have to come to a point where I'm going to have to change my channel, what it is, and go through what you went through, because I have so many people asking, and I'm the kind of guy that needs to take a break and do something stupid and do a silly show and have fun and not just be serious all the time, because it's just not my personality, honestly. I got to balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to do this again.
Oh, for
We'll
sure.
have to see the feedback on this.
Well, I'm reading some. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I keep wondering, where are we going with this? I don't know, but I can't just ignore it. That's why I wanted to do. I've never done this before, a chat. I've had people want to do it with me in the financial community on YouTube, in the gold and silver. I never did it. But I'm here now because this is so important to me, but I don't know where this is leading. I just felt that I had to talk on it, and I'm not an expert on what's going on, but I've done quite a few videos on it. I've heard a lot of people and what they think. I've had like 20,000 comments, 30,000. I mean, I've had an incredible amount of comments. I have 6,000 comments like on one video. I mean, it's
that's the thing is I'm trying to comment, and it's like a full-time job at this point. There's so many comments, and I want to read each one and reply, and it's overwhelming at some point. I mean, when it turns to thousands, it's like I can't. And a lot of people want you to read stuff. They'll be like, "Here's my theory, what happened," and it's pages, and I just can't read all that stuff and have a life too. I have to kind of control what comes in a sense, because it's overwhelming.
Did you catch the bombshell last night that I dropped?
About Ed McMahon?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Why don't you tell the audience about this if they haven't heard this?
Well, I have a video. I put it out last night.
You can post it right into the chat so they have it for later if they want to open it. But if not, you should go subscribe to his channel anyway. You can drop your channel in there.
Chat.
Yeah, Ed McMahon. Oh my gosh, that's a hey yo. Let me see if I can do my Ed McMahon. Oops. Hey yo, Johnny.
I don't know if that worked.
I'm sorry. My Ed's not that as good as it used to be. It's not the 80s anymore.
Yeah, but I had 36. No, I've had 5,000 people watch it since last night. And I didn't make this part of my voting video series, but I think by the 415 thumbs up versus 18 down just in the last 20 hours, I think that's kind of voting right there.
Well, you found some really good evidence where people are discussing if it was a myth and, this whole thing that was going on because so many people asked about it. And I mean, I clearly remember that. And the guys in the chat, do you remember Ed McMahon doing Publishers Clearinghouse? He was the voice and spokesperson for it. I mean, it was like 10 years of videos, man. I mean, commercials on TV. I mean, 10 years.
I hear his voice, I think, Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
But I've never, he worked for a competitor, American Family Sweepstakes or something. I've never heard of that. No, he was such a big person as far as giving away the money. I would have heard of the company he represented with Dick Clark. I mean,
yeah,
it's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah,
I never heard of the company.
That's a huge one.
Yeah, that's big. I think that's one that people who think just misremembering's going on, let them try and deal with the face of Publishers Clearinghouse never existing.
All right, so this is a good point. Let's talk about this, guys, as a group. Jinx Cat, you had a question. If you wouldn't mind throwing it back in the chat, we're going to start getting to your guys' questions now. I I think it was something about how do you deal with people's robotic responses. In other words, that you go and you tell people, and I remember being like, holy cow, my reality changed. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess it did. So what's on the Oscars tonight? Or, like just a total disconnect of they could care less. They're going to go watch football.
I get that all the time.
And so let's talk about that, especially in the chat. What are our theories? Why are some, is it just they can't handle their reality being shaken? Or are these people really not real people, streams of consciousness in this reality? In other words, to me, this reality is a big video game that it's like a virtual world where there are other players playing. There were streams of consciousness coming in, playing in the game. And then there's a bunch of computer characters that don't really, that the computer runs, that you can't really have a conversation with. So like if you're playing World of Warcraft and you go in the village and you talk to the blacksmith, it's not a real person. It's, it's the guy you buy a sword from, and he's got like set responses. I feel like in this reality that there's a lot of, I think they call them NCPs, a lot of people that are just here to take up space and make your experience a little better. And I feel
people?
like, yeah, that's right. That's what they called them in that other video.
Calls them the background people.
And
we're creating our own reality, she says, and you got all the background people.
Right, and I remember making
crazy concept
jokes about this where I was driving and I was like, you know what? The UPS guy was the same guy that was behind me in the grocery store. That was the same guy that cut me off over there, with his car. I was like, God ran out of extras in my life. He just keeps recycling these guys. And now I used to joke about that, but I think that's for real, as I used to see the same guy appear multiple times. And it makes more sense that it's just they're NCPs. They're not real people in reality. They're just here for us to interact with, but they're not streams of consciousness. And I think maybe we're talking to them when they give us a robotic response of, hey, by the way, our reality completely shifted. Everything we know is not what we know. And they're like, oh yeah, but I got to go watch football. I mean, that's my best guess.
I haven't done a lot of thinking about that.
Well, I think
kind of a weird. No, I think Jinx that could be possible. I just haven't really thought about that. I have gotten the robotic responses. It's like they don't want to. Well, they're in their little box. They don't want to people don't like their box messed with. So you come up and say, hey, wasn't this? Yeah. No, it was always this. Oh wait, now you're trying to pull down one of my little walls.
And I've dealt with that.
I look at it.
I mean, I've been a liberty activist forever, and you have to shake the questions of some tough questions where you're like, you really, just for me to bring up my point of view sounds combative. And I've dealt with this, and that's kind of why when people watch my videos and they're like, wow, you say such calming things and it helps. It's because it took me 20 years to figure it out. That when you're completely disrupting someone's reality, when you're like, well, instead of voting Republican or Democrat, how about we have no government? You drop a bomb in there that they're like, what? You can't have no government. You have to have some sort. And it's like, no. And some people get so mad about that stuff, they just walk away and don't even talk to you. So I think the same thing. This is probably even worse with the Mandela Effect because it's just so beyond them. But you on your channel have so much, for the best we have, evidence. I mean, I know some people really want some evidence in black and white where we can hammer people over the head with it and be like, here it is, I'm not crazy, but
I've put in thousands of hours.
Yeah.
Over the past, I was in a position where I was able to do that this past year. I actually going tomorrow about a position with a company, so probably not going to have as much time as I've had, but all the videos are there. I've done so much research, and to me, I call it reality residue. And it just doesn't make sense that I'm able to make the videos I've made if there's nothing going on.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense either, because there's just so much. And this is kind of an interesting thing, and I'd also like to throw this out in the chat room. What do you think residue is? Why do we have residue? If we merged realities, as some people say, with the CERN theory. Why do we have residue? And I'm curious what your opinion is, and then I'll give you mine.
I've thought a lot about the reality residue, the residuals. That's what makes me think that there's someone changing things, actually. So, but that's the only thing I can think of to show that there's something going on. So I guess I've been trying to confirm that to myself all along, that there's actually something going on. So I've been documenting my memories. But the reality residue, yeah, I mean, if you got the realities crossing over, here's a big part of it. Only the original changes. Anything in art, anything anyone's drew, or any piece of art doesn't seem to change. It's just the original changes. So it's the memories of people from, okay, for example, Johnny Carson introducing Sally Fields. He introduces as Sally Fields. He should know her name. There's a clip of a show where he says her name with an S. Now, why does that exist? So here's another big one recently. Why does this exist? The Bee Gees, their song, what was that song?
How deep is your love?
Yeah.
I really want to know. I love the Bee Gees.
Yeah. How deep is your love? I really need to know. Because it says, I'm the one you need to show. And then how deep is your love? How deep is your love? I'm the one I really need to know. Know rhymes with show. But I really mean to learn, MEAN, mean to learn. That doesn't make any sense. But the point I want to make is, why do we find Andy Gibb in Brazil and Chile singing I Really Need to Know back in '84? He's singing it the way we remember it, live performance. But the actual lyrics on the song have always been mean to know since '77. I mean mean to learn. Why is he singing it the way we remember it? So many of us remember it.
It's like they hacked American culture and not as much of the rest of the world. There's still, like you said, you could find clips of him singing in Chile, but not in the U.S. I feel like, if this reality is just a program that people can hack it and screw with it, that I don't think the rest of the world is feeling this as much as us, or they're just starting to. What's your opinion on that? Because I'm curious to know if this is going on around the rest of the world.
Well, I've had people tell me from Australia, from the UK, other English-speaking countries, it's happening. No doubt. There's people experiencing the phenomenon. In China, I don't know. In China, Japan, I don't know. I speak Spanish. My wife's from Peru. I keep questioning her on different Spanish words. It doesn't seem to really show up in Spanish-speaking world or language. Now, there's lots of videos in Spanish about the Mandela Effect, but I think those are bilingual people that have been making them. It's not something where some Spanish-speaking singing artist last name has changed. I haven't seen any of that. Now, the word Tabasco, I think that's a Mandela Effect. Tabasco versus T-O and T-A. Now, that's a Spanish word. Tabasco, the hot sauce. I remember it's Tabasco. I guess it's Tabasco, T-A, T-O. So that would be one Spanish word that maybe, so it's mainly, and why? Why is it mainly an English thing?
Well, I'm curious
that's really bizarre.
If their pop culture is changing. Is some sort of Spanish novella now named different? Like it seems to be a lot of our pop culture that is changed. It's almost like, and this is a weird theory I kind of see talked around too. It's almost like that there's this projection of reality. It's fake, and someone is purposely hacked in, who's almost like a Edward Snowden. He's a good guy where he's like, what can I change that's not going to disrupt reality, but wake people up slowly? That they're purposely changing movie lines. And, like he must have some sort of English background or English speaking background. It's almost like someone's doing it on purpose to bring us all together. And maybe that could be a reason, is we're finding each other all over the place now and supporting each other. And maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Maybe that's why this residual's there. I don't know.
You got me. I don't know.
I'm just guessing. I don't know anything,
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
mean,
just saying that I'm trying to think of good positive reasons. Like it's waking up the people who are ready to hear this message, and by being outcast by everyone else, it's driving us together.
yeah, this has been an incredible 10 months for me. Just mind-blowing, incredible 10 months. And so I don't know where this is leading, but I'm very thankful for all the people I'm looking at in the live chat and all the
Yeah,
people that have commented on my channels, because really helped me get through this.
yeah, you
Because I
guys
was
are
just
awesome. We would.
totally,
There's no way I would do this without this much support. So if you want us to keep going, you gotta you gotta help us, man. Keep supporting us like this, because it's hard being a front man for this. Trust me, we're taking a lot of heat in our personal lives for it.
yeah, it's worn me down. I think I'm going to be taking a break. Uh,
And I think you should, because honestly, I was saying to my viewers that I'm going to have a show on Tuesday nights that has nothing to do with the Mandela Effect. We're going to screw around. We're going to talk about 80s fashions and 70s hairstyles and stupid stuff. And yeah, we might mention Mandela here and there, but that is not going to be the focus, because I need a different vehicle than talking about this every day, all day. You know, I need to take a day off and enjoy myself. And you're welcome to join me over there. I hope if you have a sense of humor, you'll come over, but it is not like this. And I think you might need a vehicle like that, Evan, just to have some fun, man. And,
yeah, I definitely, I luckily I have the kids that I can turn my attention towards and do
oh,
things with
right.
them,
I forgot you have kids.
get my
Yeah.
mind off. Uh, I have distractions, luckily. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd be doing. You can't get too sucked into this, and then the rabbit hole is so deep on this. Uh, but I mean, I think I've gone down as far as I can. I just need to experience life, just moving forward. But I've become so much more analytical than I already was. I'm driving down the freeway now, and I'm looking at every single sign. Look, and I don't like that. But I can't help it. It's just, this is such an incredible thing to happen to someone. I think a lot of people probably know what I'm saying. They're probably checking out everything now. They're so much more aware of their surroundings.
Oh, it's ridiculous how this is happening now, you know, because everything me and Kate talk about all the time, we're just like looking when we watch movies. We can't really even enjoy a movie now. I'm like, oh, look at that old skeleton, or you know, like we went and played at the video arcade. If you guys don't know, I live in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire has the largest video arcade in the world. They actually have, if you like old vintage games and classic, you know, Pac-Man, Defender kind of 1980s games, they have them, but they also have a kids area. And in this kids area, I found a Flintstones car that you ride. And of course it says Flintstones. And you know, we're sitting here having a conversation about this instead of like enjoying our time playing video games. We're sitting here looking at the Flintstones car and examining it. And I don't even know where that is right now. Evan, are we Flintstones or are we back to Flintstones? Did that flip flop?
Uh, Last I checked, it had two T's.
Anyone know if that's back with a T or is the T missing now? I don't even know. Um,
Before we go, I want to apologize to everyone. Um, I wish I could have chatted with you, but I can't do this and that.
oh,
But
are you getting lost in the
I
chat?
appreciate everyone who's. I'm trying to read some of the comments. Actually, there's quite a few people commenting because it's just streaming up.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I also apologize for my nose. You probably heard me sniffling. I got a cold the last few days. I almost backed out of this. I'm glad I didn't, but you can probably hear it in
Yeah,
my
this
voice.
would have this would have been a crappy show without you. Uh, I am trying to. People are saying they want to keep talking, so I'm going to set up a Google Hangout when this is over. If you guys want to keep talking, so I'm going to drop the link in a little bit. So if it looks like I'm typing and doing something, that's what's going on. Evan, do you want to handle any of the questions while I'm setting this up? Is there something
Let
you
me
guys want
see.
to ask? Sorry, Moneybags.
Yeah, if anyone wants to ask something and I can catch it here.
You guys have anything you'd like to talk about?
I'm trying to read these as they're coming through. Nothing crappy about this show. Well, thank you for that.
What? Nothing's happy.
No, nothing's crappy.
Oh, crappy.
It's a good show, basically.
Trying to figure out how to set this hangout up, but I am not. I just need an address for it that I can just send you guys. How do I do this?
Thank you, Vegan
Anyway,
Warrior.
let me talk to you a little more. Do you guys have questions in the comments that you'd like us to talk about? The sun in the sky. Yeah, I've noticed that too. The sun seems a lot whiter. And you know what we noticed recently, and Kate is freaking out about, is there is a large, bright body now. And we're guessing that it's Venus. When we line it up, it looks like Venus, but Venus is way lighter than it used to be. And we watched this scientific video explaining that it's the brightness it's supposed to be, like they calculate it with math, but it doesn't look anything like I remember. And the stars seem to be dim and missing. Not like it was when I used to walk out last year.
I've noticed Venus up in the southern, what is that? The southwest sky being fairly bright. The sun, to me, is different, more white, like people are saying. I spent a year or so sun gazing, followed the path of the sun. The path of the sun has changed as well. I almost had the sun in my back window heading south down the highway. It was far north, and I'm sure some other people will be able to contest to this.
What do y'all think about? I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you were.
I was just going to say that the summer, June 21st is the highest point in the sky when it sets in the west. And it was set like northwest in around June. Way north. It was almost due north. It was like, so, and I've seen videos on I think they're called the Inuits in the natives to Alaska, where everything's been changed for them. And
like you mean the Northern Lights aren't doing their thing anymore up there?
Well, no, the sun. Just the fact that the sun has totally changed the way they live.
I got you, because like, you know, they
so far in the north.
Yeah, and it seems a lot whiter to me than yellow, although I'm not the best at judging colors. It just seems like it has a different vibe here. What do you think about the theory that there was a guy's video, Kate, that we found about how we moved positions in the galaxy, that we just slid over to an alternate Earth, that we're not in the Sagittarius arm, we're now in, I think, the Orion arm, and we're a lot closer to the center of the galaxy. But I'm curious because our stars still look pretty similar, and they're in the kind of same constellations, but they look. I
agree with you. I
different.
Just asked that question to people. The constellations don't look different to me. The sun definitely looks different. But as far as where I remember Orion this time of year, or the Big Dipper this past summer, I was looking, because I've done stuff on the constellations and, you know, with the blood moons and those other videos I've done. I got into studying the stars a little bit. And so the past 4 or 5 years, I've been looking a lot more than I ever did at the stars. They don't seem to have changed. So how could that be if my consciousness is now in a different part of the galaxy?
Yeah, you would think if we jumped arms that we would see different star formations. We wouldn't have the same constellations anymore. So that's the part that's holding me up. But the sky's different. The stars are different as far as brightness goes. Now, could this be like Dolores Cannon saying that we're moving to a higher dimension? So we're only seeing the stars that are in a higher dimension and the planets. It's an interesting idea. You know, there's a lot of people, and especially the Hindus and stuff, and old religions, that believe that the sun is not just the sun, that it is a spiritual being out there, and the planets are spiritual beings, and the rock on the floor is a spiritual being, and you know, the dirt's a spiritual. Everything is a spirit. Right. And so, you know, is it possible that some of these spirits that are a higher dimension, that maybe that's what happened to the stars? As if that theory's right about the Earth starting to split, that if you're following the split for the higher vibration, that maybe some of those other stars aren't there. They're lower vibration stars or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really thought about that.
I'm guessing. all this is speculation. I got no idea. These are just ideas that are popping in there.
Well, no matter what, we're in a time of great change, and that's been talked about for thousands of years, that this was going to be a time of great change. I've been studying the Incas, the Mayas, the Aztecs, a lot of the American Indians. There's a video I did on the left and right hemisphere of the brain coming together, representative of North and South America coming together. It's the eagle and the condor flying together again. I did a video on that. I forget the Indian name for that. But anyway, it's just fascinating if you just start looking at all these other cultures and what they talked about at this time in history. So, I always keep going back to that. Lately, I've been researching 2012 videos because there was a lot being talked about in 2010, 2011 about the coming 2012. And then everyone said, well, nothing happened. Well, I don't think that's true. I think a lot's changing, and it was all predicted, prophesied.
Yeah, I think people thought it was going to be you walk out one day and it's going to be a different event. And I think this is a slow, gradual change that takes some years for this to happen. That who knows how long it'll take for us to move to a higher vibration. It could be, our whole lifetime we're trying to ride that vibration out of here. Or it could be, 5 years. I don't know.
I keep seeing well, I saw it once here, but I mean, I've seen it in the comments on my videos that we're no longer in Aquarius, because this is the time of Pisces ending and Aquarius starting. And they're saying that, no, we're not in that. I'm going to have to look into that, because all the stuff I've been studying was the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and, the spirit being poured out onto humanity, the consciousness, the collective. It's like, the water bearer, that's in the Bible too. They say, well, when are you going to return to Jesus? And he says, well, you'll find a man carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he enters in. It's all, to me, astrological. There's a lot of astrology in the Bible, and that I was brought up made to think that, you don't look at astrology. That's evil. The devil made the stars. Yeah, right. God made the stars. Why can't we look at them? We're not supposed to make prophecies, and there are parts of the Bible where it says you're not supposed to. Talks about witchcraft and make predictions based on the stars and all that. But I think it's important. It's in there saying that there'll be signs in the stars and in the sun and the moon. I mean, I think those are important parts of the Bible, because there are signs. There's signs everywhere.
Yeah, I think that stuff, a lot of Bible scholars say you're not supposed to understand it until we're getting close to those times. And it's supposed to be revealed, kind of. So I think maybe that's what's going on with, the Christians.
Apocalypse.
The Christians bring up some pretty good stuff. I'm not Christian, but it's looking at what they bring up. They have some pretty good stuff that explains what's going on. So that's why I say this is what's interesting to me with the ME movement is people are very tolerant of each other, and they better be, because there's a lot of crossover between the religions, and a lot of people, most of the people that did my poll weren't even religious. They described themselves as spiritual, which is always like a personal mix of whatever they want, and yeah. So I think that we're finding common ground, and we need to keep finding common ground and drive a positive force. Because, man, if we try to do this alone, we are going to not go anywhere. We're not going to do anything. So we're going to have to work with all religions, I think.
Yeah, I've always thought that. I mean, I was raised Catholic. And so now, the things I'm seeing now, looking at the Catholic religion, like just there's some, I don't know if I should bring it up now, but I mean, like the Pope's Hall and this weird thing he has behind it where Jesus's head's like cut in half, and it's supposed to be Jesus coming out of a atomic explosion or something, like right behind the Pope. And you look at this whole thing and it looks like the head of a serpent. And then you look at the basilica, St. Peter's Basilica, the basilisk, like a crowned serpent. And I don't know, there's some weird, I've looked at we can get into tons of different discussions because I've looked at lots of stuff. And there's just some, even at the front of the St. Peter's, there, in front of the basilica, there's like a little walkway, and it's kind of like forked. I mean, there's just all this weird stuff. You got the black cobblestones, and I don't know. I guess I won't go into all that.
No, I'm sure you. Do you have a video about it? The people
there's
want to hear.
Videos. You can just look up. Just in YouTube search. Just.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but.
Oh, it's fascinating. It's like. I don't know. I just feel like I've been lied to my whole life. Let's just leave it there. I mean, it's just nothing seems to add up. I mean, there's so many different things that they don't make any sense. So I've been questioning a lot of things over the last 10, 15 years, but there's a lot of weird stuff. There's just, there's a whole new thing that exploded recently. I don't know if you know about.
No.
And I'm not going to talk about it, but it's, has to do with pizza, and that's a whole other topic. I don't even want to talk about it, but I think the veil's being lifted on a lot of this stuff. I really do. There's crazy things going on.
I'm going to say this out there because, I think a lot of the conspiracy stuff, as crazy as it sounds, a lot of it's probably right. So, but it's your focus on it that. All right, if we decide to go into this reality, and this reality, like I said, is like a matrix or a fake game. You're here to learn lessons. Some players, if you ever play a video game, say you play like Star Wars or Fable or something, if you guys ever play video games, you can choose to be a good character or a bad character. So you'll play a game sometimes and you go through as a good character, and then you're like, yeah, I still got this game. Let's see what it's like to go through as a bad character and do everything evil. And you do it for the experience. These evil forces that work against us are doing it for the experience. That after this life's over, these are people that souls you'll reconnect with. The evil people are, and all this evil stuff's here to teach us a lesson. It's not here to, I know that's hard to believe because you're like, there's these evil forces that come in and control everything and hijack reality and do all this stuff. Yeah, they're here, but they're here to teach lessons and bring that experience of being evil back out. We're here to collect experiences, good and evil. And some players are playing evil characters. And that's about why I think evil exists, is just simply to experience it or teach us a lesson that we're supposed to learn. Something evil has to happen to us so I can grow and gain something. And I believe that's why that's happening. I'm sorry if I jumped down the rabbit hole there, but
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I know
why does evil exist, and why is all these terrible things happening? And I think it's because it's ordained. We're supposed to struggle.
One thing I want to point out though is that there's occult knowledge being used, and I believe that occult knowledge can be used for good or bad. People like to assume that occult, which means hidden, is automatically evil or bad. Occult doesn't mean evil or bad, it means hidden. Just like apocalypse doesn't mean, the end of the world. It means an unveiling. And so there's these, I keep going back to 2012, but Hollywood wanted us to be in fear. At the end of the world, all those movies. Remember all those 2012 movies they were making?
Oh, yeah.
They want to keep us in fear. And that's why I think it's important to learn about the occult. I've been studying the occult for a long time. So if there's people think, oh, well, that's evil, and then, they may unsub the channel because I said I study the occult, but I'm not studying it for negative reasons. I'm studying it for positive, to be able to use it for positive reasons. And I just think it's important to know. why should the people who use that information, those ancient secrets, for negative, why should they be the only ones with the information? So,
and I think we both agree that focusing our energy on negative is not where we need to go. And I asked this community that's listening and the people that will come and watch this later, if you are really into following the Mandela Effect and watching scary and negative stories all day long, it will rot your brain and make you into a negative creature that is ruled by fear. The reason I know this is I went through this. I got to a point where fear was my main decision-making vehicle. I was starting to make decisions of what if, and what, I don't know if I should do this. What if I do this? Where when I was in a positive and a good place, in a spiritual place, I never asked what if. I just followed my instinct and what felt right. And they were always right decisions. Always took care of me. It wasn't until I started asking what if and worrying about things and not trusting the universe that I suffered bad things in my life and did bad things. And I wasn't that great of a person sometimes. And it was because I allowed negative influence into my life so much that it wore me down and brought me down with it to a lower vibration. And I had to fight to get back to a good, happy place. And I think sometimes some of you might be going through this, that your whole world is nothing but conspiracy videos. You need to break out of that mold, man, or you are going to drive yourself into burnout, and you're going to make a world where you're just living in fear. Every decision you make is fear. And that's not a good place to be, man.
yeah, the whole fear thing is awful. I mean, I have a friend who lives on the East Coast I went to high school with, and he has a band, and I've used some of his music in some of my videos. And I've had some great discussions with him. We've both kind of been on like a spiritual awakening path. And I bring up fear with him, and he says, I don't believe in fear. And so he's in a place where he won't even entertain at this point any type of fearful. I mean, he like blocks out. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not, I still get fearful about things, but
well, you have kids,
I look up to him for that. I mean, that's a hell of a place to be. I don't believe in fear. To be totally fearless. I don't know. People say you're supposed to fear God and all that stuff, but that's fine. But in general, just to not fear things. I mean, that would be an incredible place to be.
I think you have to hit a breaking point. I had to hit rock bottom before I just I'm done being scared. I do not care what happens to me anymore. I'm going to live the way I want to live and be damned the consequences. When you get to that point, you're free. And that's hard when you have kids in a house and all that stuff. But as you start dipping your toe in the water and trying to be freer, you'll build that confidence up to just do what you want to do and live how you want to live. I mean, there's so many people out there that are in the rat race coffin. They go to work to keep a job they go to a job they hate to keep a house they can't really afford and live in a neighborhood they don't like their neighbors. It's like, what are you doing? Stop. Go be poor and be free. I'm
like, sort of there myself.
You got to break out of that, man.
I was laid off after 15 years, and I figure, all right, this is my opportunity to try and do my own thing. I was driving for Uber, which I enjoy. I've been doing that for 2 years, part-time, but it's not really a full-time thing. So I was doing it the past summer, but I couldn't keep the car on the road. I was a stoplight, and people crash into the back of me, and because I'm on the road so much. And so
I get it.
Nice being my own boss. I didn't have a guy saying, why were you 10 minutes late today? Where's that report? All that stuff. But it's not easy to be on your own.
It reminds me of
tax write-offs are incredible.
Yeah, but it reminds me of a story where this is a story I heard somewhere and I can't remember it, but I'm going to tell it the best I can. So this rich Wall Street guy goes down to Mexico and he's talking with this fisherman, and this fisherman comes in and brings these fish in. And he goes, wow, these are great fish. Now, how many fish do you catch a day? And the guy says, well, I catch enough fish to take care of my family. And of course, the businessman looks at him and goes, well, you know, if you got a better boat and reinvested what you were doing, went out a few more hours a day, you know, within 4 or 5 years, you could buy another boat with all those profits. Oh, okay. How long will that take? Well, about 4 or 5 years. Well, what do I do then? Well, then you get work another 4 or 5 years, get a fleet of boats, and then you'll be all right. You know, then you could really get rich. And then 5 years later, we can just take that whole corporation and move it to a different country, and you work for another 10 years, and we could sell it, make a ton of money, and then you come back here. He's like, what do you do all day? He's like, well, you know, I go to this is a long story, right? Well, I catch the fish, then I go and I cook the fish, I feed my family, then I go play some music, and I have some cerveza at the bars, and that's it. You know, and then I enjoy my day. And he's like, but you could be making so much more. You could do all these things, and if you only worked, you know, 25 years really hard, you could earn enough to retire. And he's like, well, what would I do if I retired? Well, I would then if you retire, you can hang out all day, you know, play music, hang out by the bar, make love to your wife. It was the same idea that you go through this corporate machine that society builds for you to get to the same place, that if you just live a cheaper lifestyle, you don't have to enter that world, man.
Yeah, that's a great story. It's funny you bring that up because I have a YouTube video with that exact same story.
Oh, you know the story. Okay.
I know the story.
That's hilarious.
I was letting you say it for
no, you should have come in and,
but I know the story. I have a video reciting that story because it's such a great story.
This is like, we're so on the same wavelength.
Funny that you bring that up. One of my videos is that story.
Oh my God. Maybe I heard it from you. I don't know.
I did it back in 2011, 2012, driving in traffic. Driving in traffic, I recited that.
Listen to your own advice, man. You know, I think we've got to get to a point as a community where we just stop rewarding all the negative crud out there and start making more positive videos and start encouraging each other and finding what we have in common instead of what's different, and really push to build a community, because right now we're just a collection of crazy people. And you know, obviously I want a community where there's like leaders and organization or none of that junk. I just want a supportive society where we back each other up, and you don't have to be alone, because I think that's the hardest part about this, is being alone. For some reason, only a couple thousand of us are
very alone. You're aware of that, right? They have no one. They have nobody to talk to about this. I've had numerous people comment and say, I have nobody. My significant other, my kids, my parents, my siblings, nobody. No one thing being different than it's always been. So I feel sorry for those people, because I'm glad that I'm glad that there's a community here where you can talk to other people about this, because I'm sure this is very hard.
And guys,
people who have no one.
I'm going to have to keep, because I've been in enough communities where they've self-destructed and destroyed each other, and somebody comes in and is like, let's get organized and let's be active, and you can't do that. You just have to let people come and go and be free and loving and supportive. That's the only way this thing works. As soon as you organize it and make it like a big thing, you know, it'll self-destruct. You have to just do it out of love. And you know, me and Kate were talking. We have a giant festival here in New Hampshire that bases. It's the biggest liberty event in the world. So it's a bunch of free thinkers who come in that kind of want to run their own lives and not have the government or people telling them what to do. And it's a huge thing called the Porcupine Freedom Festival. It's called PorcFest. And it is unlike any other festival in the world. It is completely a freeing and amazing experience to see what a free society is like just for a week. Well, I was talking to her and I was like, you know, there's enough interest in ME stuff now that I wonder if we could get together a physical event somewhere, you know, or a couple small ones, and just, even if it was like 10, 20 people, it'd still be worth it to you know, spend a weekend camping together and discussing all these ideas and just not feeling alone. You know, one of these days. I think it'd be nice if we could do that when it gets big enough. I don't think we're big enough yet, but maybe someday we could have a festival.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Why not?
That'd be an interesting festival.
I think it'd be neat. You feature some of the interesting speakers. People have interesting channels, and put the best, most popular ideas out there, and let them just debate and have a good time and hang out with each other.
Yeah, I could imagine what the banner would look like. We got lots of different things we could put on it.
Yeah, I mean, we
like
could
Looney
have our
Tunes
own.
and Staples and all the different stuff.
It's fun because we have a festival here. Like I said, Pork Fest is really successful, and it's a fun festival. And honestly, they would allow us to go set up our own panel there and do our own thing in the Alt Expo wing. We could basically just borrow someone else's festival and run a small festival in it. But we'll have to talk about that idea. But it would be really nice. My whole point, I think, of my channel is going to be to build community. There's there's what, like 100 other people talking about Mandela on YouTube. That we got to be different. I don't want to just.
There's a lot. Have you searched? You know what? Almost every single day since March 2016, I've punched in Mandela Effect into the search on YouTube.
Yeah, you found me pretty fast.
That's where I find all this stuff. Because I'm searching for it, because I'm looking for information, I'm looking for ideas, but I'm also wanting to see what other people are saying. I was blown away by the 12 to 14-year-old girls making Mandela Effect videos.
Yeah, what's that
saying
about?
That I'm shook, and the foul mouths on these young women. That's almost as mind-blowing as the Mandela Effect. I couldn't believe it.
I think they're just jumping on the bandwagon, and if you check back in their channel a month later, they won't be talking about it anymore. It's cool and it's popular right now. And how many memories could you have changed at 12? Like don't tell me.
You'd be surprised, actually,
I just
because
don't.
My son's experiencing the phenomenon, and he's pointed out. See, there's another aspect to this where it's like not just two things crossing over, like Cheez-It. It's always been Cheez-It. My son remembers Cheez-Its, ITZ. I remember ITS, but it's always been IT. So there's like triples on a lot of this stuff. I can't tell you how many people I said when I did my Jiffy videos early on, Jiffy peanut butter. They said, it's never been Jiffy. You're confusing that with Skippy. It's always been JIFF. I can't tell you hundreds of people that have said it's always been JIFF. It's never been JIFF. So they're wrong too. So there's the JIF, JIFF, JIFFY. So there's a lot of more than just two things crossing over with all this. I don't know if you've come across that. I've noticed that at all.
Yeah, it's weird because even me and Kate don't have 100% memories line up. We got about like 90% we remember, and if we pulled everybody in here, we wouldn't all remember the same stuff. So I feel like we've been pulled over from many different realities and dimensions, and we're merging together, and the dominant ones are taking place, and kind of the residuals are basically the non-dominant ones. Think of it almost like genetics, that when you have a baby, the dominant gene expresses itself. I think that's what happens with realities, because there's multiple yous in different realities, and when you die, I think they start merging back together. My theory is, I don't know how many people, it's something I've been thinking about, is how they say that every time you make a decision, it creates a new alternate universe. And so eventually there's thousands of you running around. Yeah, and when you do that, you split your soul.
An infinite number of you.
Yeah. And you're collecting. Remember, our whole goal in this reality here is to collect experience. So if I can make thousands of myself, I can collect thousands of more experiences. So your soul separates into little pieces. And then as those die off, they start merging back together. And I think we are starting to collide realities and merging back together. And we're getting all these other realities coming together before we merge up to a higher vibration. I think you have to pull your soul back together.
What you're saying may have to do with Terence McKenna's Time Wave Zero.
I haven't read that. These are just things I was thinking about.
Well, at this time, this is Time Wave Zero. Things speed up so fast that it's like time doesn't exist. And time really doesn't exist anyway, but there's a lot of people are experiencing this perception of time. It's like, I don't know where time's going, and I don't think it's just because I've gotten older. I feel everything's speeding up so fast, more than just because I'm 1 year older. It's so, what you're saying makes sense. Like if it's all folding back in on itself as we're moving through the fourth dimension into the fifth. I don't know.
I mean, if we are, like the Dolores thing where, we're merging into a higher vibration, I think our soul has to collect itself back together. And we're having all these different memories of why those realities are coming back together. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's people saying two people right after one another. I feel like time's speeding up. Time is speeding up.
Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of people. And
Kate says our rice machine cooks faster now. Like it takes usually an hour to cook rice, and now it's like 40 minutes. And none of us changed anything. It's just faster. It just seems weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like cooking doesn't take as long as it used to, which is a strange thing to notice, but that's what is going on.
Well, I think, Taryn, I'm going to have to get out of here. I lasted longer than I thought. My voice is...
I appreciate this. If you want to do this again next week, I don't know how you're feeling, but I'd like to maybe stick to either a Thursday or a Friday night.
Yeah, definitely do this again. At this point,
I'll keep you guys in the loop.
I can't say when at this point, but
all right,
yeah,
I'll have you on again.
I'd like to have some other people.
Let's talk to those people that didn't show up. I don't know if I want to name names, but I'm going to stick around here for a few minutes and talk to people. So if you want to drop out, you can. Also, I am going to post something in the chat soon that if you guys want to keep talking, it'll bring you over to a Google Hangout where you can just start talking. But please go visit Moneybag's channel if you haven't. Moneybag73 is the best place you can go to basically keep current. Whatever's happening he'll be the first guy to post about it.
Yeah, I'm still going to do the voting videos because at this point, it's just most of them are. It's kind of like a fun thing to do. I'm done trying to prove there's something going on. I think people like them, and I like making them, and it's still. I like the interaction with people. I think that's the thing I like the most about it. So, I'll just continue to document our memories. I mean, I got a pretty good list of documentation at this point. I don't see why I stop. So a little spoiler alert. I think Sweet Tarts is going to be the next voting video. It's
Sweet Tarts.
It's now Sweetarts. SWEETARTS.
Doesn't even make sense. You can't even say
what they did was they took the T on the end of sweet and the T on the beginning of tarts. It's now one T. It's Sweet Tarts with one T in the middle. That's not my memory. I mean, they keep combining things. It's like Red Hot. They made it the D and the H combined. It's like Rio Hot now. It looks so off.
I think you got to keep documenting this stuff for the simple fact that there are new people waking up to it all the time that need this. Like, I don't need any more examples. I know it's happening, but it's fun to talk about. It keeps it relevant and people talking about it. So I think what you're doing is very important. We got to remember that we need to be a conduit to allow new people waking up and guide them through this shock phase and steer them in the right place so they're not just destroying their minds watching nothing but Bilderberger videos,
Yeah, I totally agree. The Bohemian Grove and Bilderberg, I went through that phase. But we all go through different phases. And
it's okay.
I can't imagine how it would be being hit with the Mandela Effect now. When did you first? Was it a month or two ago for you?
No, well, it was October when we were watching Charlie Brown. So I never got to tell my story about this, but some of you probably know this, that we were watching The Great Pumpkin. And the ending was different what I remembered. And me and Kate looked around on the internet. We thought there was maybe two versions of The Great Pumpkin. And in my version, Snoopy doesn't rise out of the pumpkin patch. The Great Pumpkin rises out. There's like a jack-o'-lantern that comes out at the end. And it was always my favorite part as a kid. So I remembered it. And I was like, what the heck happened? And so we searched and searched. And so in October is kind of when I started. And then right around the New Year's, I really got into it. I started looking at Mandela videos. And I started sharing them with Kate a few days later. So it has not been long.
Imagine getting hit with this now.
A few weeks.
Because there's so much information. If you search Mandela Effect now, there's like 500,000 videos. But when I first got hit with it, I was one of the main producers with a few other guys, like I was saying earlier. We were all making videos.
Yeah, you were one of the main
And
guys.
I was learning about all these things as the days went on. Now you go look, I've got 100 videos for you, so you can just run through those and just.
And there will be people that, you know, trying to convince themselves that this really is real, and they need that proof to convince their, to basically just wear down their logical mind to shut up and let their spiritual mind step in. You know,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
what I
good way
had to
of putting
do.
it.
I mean, you basically just, yeah, there's a cute video Kate shows me about this old monk they interview, and he talks about the monkey mind, how to shut the monkey mind up. And what that is your logical mind just yakking all the time, talking to your ear, that you have to give it a banana and shut it up. And so, like, dealing with your monkey mind, some people are just so logical that they need this stuff, man. And they have to get to a point where they finally admit, yeah, okay, something's different. And then they open themselves up. You know how many threads I read where they're like, I'm not spiritual, but now I am? I mean, that's huge.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've had lots of discussions with atheists that just they believe there's nothing that they can't see, hear, or touch.
That's
It
it.
doesn't exist. And I've always been kind of, I don't know how to say, able to sense like things, energies or like ghosts and stuff. I've always felt like I've walked into some places and just felt chill come over me. And I can feel something there that I can't see. And I've also seen stuff. I'll put this out real quick. I lived in a house. Uh, I'm going to go, but the last thing I want to say, I lived in a house where I used to see something in the hallway all the time. Every time I'd look over, of course, there was nothing there. But this happened like 20 times where I'd see like a woman walking down the hallway in this one house I lived in. And so my son, my daughter wasn't born. My son was about 5. So we moved. And then a year or so later, I'm talking to my son who had been 6 or 7. And I said, hey, did you ever see anything in the house, like a ghost or anything? Yeah, he says to me. And I said, where did you see a ghost? Walking in the hallway. I mean, like it was just no big deal. And so, you know, he saw the same thing that I was seeing out of the corner of my eye. And just the way he said, yeah, walking down the hallway, just, oh my gosh, gave me the chills because we had both obviously seen something. He wouldn't have responded the way he did because we had never discussed anything like this before. So
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And that's one big thing I keep seeing in the threads is people are starting to see spirits, or they're seeing dimensions, you know, cross over. I myself saw a chair move, which I hadn't seen a ghost in a very long time. And I don't know if it was a ghost, but it was enough. It was exactly at the height of me freaking out. It was like that week of panic where, and so, you know, something's going on. We're seeing other dimensions if you're open to it, and it seems
are
to be
you
a
seeing
common
any
thing.
numbers?
I've not seen numbers yet. A lot of people say 1111, but I don't know what that is.
I did a video on 9/11. I saw that all the time after the actual 9/11, 2001. And then it ramped up and like sometimes I wouldn't even be looking at what time it was. I just would be drawn to the clock and it was 9/11 almost on a daily basis. This went on, and that was my main number. I did a video on that years ago. And but since this Mandela effect, it's been 11/11. And I never really saw that number, but almost every single day I just, without really wanting to know what time it is at that moment, I just look right at 11/11, like I'm being pulled to look at it. It's a weird feeling. There's something with 11/11, definitely.
Not yet for me, but I think everybody's on different time schedules. Like I went through 2 or 3 days of really bad headaches and some weird body stuff, and then it was over. Like once I accepted it and this was going on, all that stuff stopped. So
Any
I
ear
know some
ringing?
people. No, I didn't have any of the tinnitus, but I
I'm
did have
still
headaches.
experiencing that.
And I've got some theories on that, you know, but I think, all right, when I was really into practicing there, I got a lot of patients in that had tinnitus and headaches. They always go hand in hand. Headaches, allergies, tinnitus are all atlas bone subluxations. It's a very top bone in your neck, gets twisted, and it pinches the actual part of the brainstem. and it will also interfere with, it exacerbates tinnitus. And I think just the simple shock and stress of going through this has put a lot of people, whatever's weak and jacked up already in your body will get worse. So I think some people are getting tinnitus from actual physically making themselves sick. Other thing is, you know, maybe our brain stems are processing different. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the brain stem, because, you know, that's where the a lot of the cranial nerves come out for that area. So
you think it might have anything to do with this frequency or vibration we keep talking about?
that could be too. I didn't even think about that, that some people can hear it. You know, I mean, how many years have we heard about people hearing a hum that have driven them crazy? I mean, that's been going on for like 50 years. So I would imagine that's getting worse for some people. That's a good point. I never thought about that.
That's what I've been thinking, because almost I've been experiencing it a lot. And so I just went to the doctor about my blood pressure, actually, because I know that can be connected to that. So,
It can.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's connected to that or not, but I was thinking it might have something to do with this raising of the vibration, because I've had a lot of other people tell me that they've been experiencing the ringing in the ears. I did a video on that.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about vibration picking that up, that you're hearing it. We'll see on this one, because it seems to be the #1 complaint of people is the tinnitus. In my videos, they're all complaining about it.
Really?
And
yeah,
that's the
#1. Mentioning that to you more than me.
Yeah, I get all the personal questions, like people want me to diagnose them, and I'm like, I can't do that over the internet. You know, I can't do that without examining you. So I give them the best answer I can. I'm like, oh, you know, this is what I think it could be, but it's hard because I get all these personal emails about health issues, and I can't do anything about that on the net, really. I mean, I can try to steer them where to go.
It was nice meeting you, Tim.
Yeah.
We'll
hey,
be
man,
doing this again.
This was great. Thank you. And you guys in the chat room, stick around. I want to talk a little bit. And
thanks, everybody. Sorry,
everybody
I communicate more like in the chat there, but did my best. I'm not feeling very well.
Go to vote up his videos and join his channel if you have not. He puts out good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Appreciate
later,
it, Money.
Right.
Just shut down your phone, your Google
and
Hangout.
The call on the phone. All right.
Yeah, shut that down and then shut this down. For you guys that are sticking around, oh, everybody loves you. Okay, there you go. You guys sticking around. Oh, I think he's still there or not. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we had a fun on this chat. Like I said, I think what we really need to do is build a community of positive people. I really I'm going to try to avoid, because most people, their reaction is they find all the scary stuff out about, you know, CERN or the devil or whatever your flavor is, and they harp on it. And I mean, it's okay to bring it up, but if you harp on it and harp on it and harp on it, it just drags everybody else down. Because there's nothing you can do about that stuff. What can we do about it? Nothing. But what you can do is you can start trying to positively support each other, bring your karma up, bring your vibration up, pray, find some Christians and pray with each other. Whatever your flavor is, I think it's important that we really try to shake off the negative stuff that's attached to ME and go a different direction. And if you feel that way too, I would love you to keep interacting. And honestly, I really need you guys to interact, because if that stops, then I'm not going to have the desire to keep making these videos. And I don't think many other people out there are doing them quite like this. So I'd appreciate that. Don't disappear. I've got a link. I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to drop this right now. And if you guys click that, a couple of you guys click that and tell me if you start showing up in a Hangout. You will see a Google Hangout. And if that worked, there should be some people arriving. Yeah, that's going on now. I just can't figure out how to see it. It's working. I just can't figure out how to get into it. I'm not so good at this. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yep, I see you guys. I see you. So that link I dropped, my videos and actually coming back here and commenting on the video. It helps a lot. So I appreciate that. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off here. I think everybody's starting to figure it out now. I'll post the link one more time in case you missed it. Leave that up for a minute. If you want to come over there and start talking, you can. So that's it. I'll see you over there. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody. And please vote this up and give some thumbs up and come back and comment on it. I appreciate it. Thanks.